for Blue and White Breakdown on ESPN Radio 103.7 and 1450. Sponsored by Joel Confer Toyota and Joel Confer BMW. This is the place to be for news and analysis around Penn State football, basketball, and all 29 other sports. Call the show at 814-272-9625. That's 814-272-9625. Now, here's your hosts of Blue and White Breakdown, Matt Bortner and Zach Seyko.
Spooky season.
I don't know what would be scarier, this music continuing to play or just
watching film
of Tui, highlights of Tui
Moloa.
Tui Moloa. Oh man, that was
Steve Jones made it easy. JTT.
Well, JTT had the game of a lifetime for Ohio State.
He's haunting Bryce Effner as we speak.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween, Hallows Eve to everyone out there. We are taking your calls on this spooky edition of Blue and White Breakdown. 272-9625. That is 272-9625. Matt, before we move any further, this is something that I've been eager to share. For 6 weeks, we gave you a chance to win $100 with the Ingram Fuels Happy Valley Make You Over. Now it's time to pick a grand prize winner to take home the $2,500 grand prize to spend with any of our sponsors any way that you would choose.
I think I could put that much money to good use.
Yeah. This is the Make You Over, so you spend it however you want. If you are qualified to win, you join us for our grand prize party next Wednesday, November 9th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at Robert Hood Brewing Company in Bellefonte, where we will draw our grand prize winner. The Happy Valley Make You Over is sponsored by Triangle Heating and Cooling, Triangle Remodeling and Construction, Confers Jewelers, Dotterer Equipment, Crescent Baths and Kitchens, Triangle Building Supplies, PBCI Allen Mechanical and Electrical, Walker & Walker Equipment, and of course, Ingram Fuels. Matt, how can people connect with you on social media?
That would be M_Bortner on Twitter.
All right, and I am at Zach_Seyko. That is my personal account. Follow the station, ESPN Radio 103.7. State College's ESPN Radio on Facebook. That's Twitter and Facebook. And our YouTube page as well, State College's ESPN Radio. In case you miss any broadcasts, any talk shows, audio versions in video format will be up on our YouTube page. Again, taking your calls, 272-9625, 272-9625. Let all the nightmares out. Penn State's season or chances at a Big Ten championship are no more.
Yeah, when push came to shove, it was Ohio State, the prohibited favorite, and the prohibited, well, them and Michigan prohibited favorites to win the Big Ten title. I think they showed in the end where they, top to bottom, a more sound football team, a deeper football team that, you know, you can put a lot of guys in there from start to finish, and I think that the wheels just fell off for Penn State at the end, and that was sort of how I thought it would go. I thought the crowd would really help Penn State in this game, and they were a big factor in really pumping this team up. But the 4 interceptions, the turnover, that's what really was the biggest I think, fault for Penn State on this day, because the defense, for the most part, did a good job. I think having to defend short field so many times in this game is what ultimately cost the defense giving up so much at the end.
Eventually, it does wear on you.
Yep.
I mean, at one point in time, up until 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, you held the number 2 Ohio State team, one of the top offense, I think the top offense in the
Tennessee's. Okay, they got a pretty darn good offense as well. But yes,
I think so. Statistically, they're in the top 5, right?
Yeah.
What I'm getting at is that Ohio...
I would say this, the most talented wide receiver group in the nation, even without it, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, he did not play. They haven't needed him to this point, and it showed with the adjustments that they're able to make. But But up until 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, Ohio State had only 16 points on the board.
Yeah.
And Penn State took away a field goal at the end of the first half because Ohio State got greedy. But if that's an incomplete pass, instead of forcing a sack and a fumble recovery, they don't run out the clock, and then Ohio State can get... Did it make a difference at the end of the day? No.
But I think it was a big swing in terms of a play going into your confidence, too. It's like Ohio State has a chance to put some points on the board at that time going into the half, have the lead. But again, Penn State's defense was able to come up big. So it almost like felt like you got to the point, though, where the offense started to stagger a little bit in that third quarter, and you were just feeling like, okay, when's this Ohio State offense going to break out?
For me, it didn't feel like that. I wasn't waiting for that explosion of points. They proved me wrong, scoring 28 in the fourth quarter. Like, I thought that the game was going to continue.
Not to that extent, but I just felt like it didn't feel like they had one of those game-defining drives yet in the game, one where they really put together, where you thought top to bottom that they did just everything right, and it came in a wave with a 28-3. They outscored Penn State after Penn State was leading 21-16.
Yeah, it was a 28-3
run.
And then Penn State had that because they had that garbage time touchdown, and it counts for Sean Clifford's stats. It counts for, I think, Keandre Lambert-Smith was the one who ended up.
Yeah, the game's still closer than 44-31 ultimately, though.
Is it though? I mean, if Penn State doesn't put that drive to at the end of the game, I know there were some people sweating in the press box for their certain tickets they had because they were confident in their Penn State Nittany Lions.
But I mean, if the underdog team has the lead in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes to go, I think you're going to consider that a close football game, no matter what the score ends up.
I mean, Ohio State showed why they're a college football playoff team. I think so you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think the turning point in the game wasn't any of those turnovers, actually. I think it was the fact that Penn State drove down the field, and when they scored that touchdown and go up 21-16, it took 2 missed field goals, 2 penalties, a 4th and 1 slant to your tight end. You can't figure out what play to run on 3rd down and 1, 4th down and 1. You have to get so tricky just to get a freaking yard. Then you finally get close to the goal line. But wait, Mitchell Tinsley fumbles the ball. You're fortunate enough to recover it. You get stuffed on the quarterback sneak, which you should have ran 10 plays prior to that to get up.
Run it twice in a row, and if you don't get it, so be it at that point, how close you were.
And then you have the T backfield. You give it to Katron Allen, and he stopped 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
That was all him.
He, man-child, breaks 3 tackles and somehow ends up in it. When he got hit the first, I was ready to say all the swear words in the dictionary
that we're not allowed to say.
FCC, if you were listening, I'm being good. But I was ready to just kind of lose my mind in that moment. And he gets in, and I'm like, okay, wow, hey, there's new life. So what is my turning point? It's the fact that Ohio State was able to score in 3 plays, get 75 yards, and they went quick. They went hurry up. They wanted to play with the lead again, and I said, man, that must be draining that you did all of that to squeak out 7 points in Ohio State's like, this is easy. You guys needed all of that. We'll score in 3 plays. And I think that was the turning point for me and then after that you have, obviously, the turnovers that set up the next play. I think that was the strip sack fumble. Ohio State recovered, and then Cade Stover, the tight end, ended up wide open. Nobody wanted to tackle him in the middle of the field. I think he broke like 4 or 5 tackles and Penn State was never out of it. It was 30-24 still later in the game with about 5.5 minutes to go. So that play where Travion Henderson scores from 41 yards out in ease on that 3-play, 75-yard drive, and Ohio State went quick. I think they had the football for all of 40 seconds. So for me, you have to look at that and say that's got to be draining if you're Penn State's sideline.
Well, I don't disagree with you at all. I think you could probably point to a couple things. I don't know if in terms of turning points. I guess maybe you wouldn't consider it a turning points with the turnovers, but what I will say about the turnovers is that at times you maybe felt like you could sustain something, and even Penn State actually had the advantage in time of possession in this game. I thought physicality-wise,
more first downs, more yards.
Yeah. Other than, and you hate to pick out one player, but I thought other than Bryce Effner, who really it struggled, and it was also an otherworldly performance by Tuamalo. I thought physicality-wise they matched up just as well with Ohio State, and I think that's really that's how Penn State
physically. I thought they were better. Like they came to play, they blew through every bubble screen. They were flying all over the football. Like it was
one guy.
Watch the tape if you can watch any of the highlights from Hunter Norzad or Brenton Strange. Like they were just pancaking people. They were laying the boom. Like it was not a matter of Penn State out-physicaled Ohio State.
Yeah, and so I guess my point there is, yes, you have the time of possession, but I think what hurts is needless times you put your defense out on the field, and in terms of what you're doing during that time of possession, it's Penn State did the right thing, and I would still go back to this. I don't know. So they do this against Minnesota and even against Ohio State with a great passing team. You have the best secondary maybe the best secondary in the land. Let them play man-to-man defense. That's what they did against Ohio State, and for most of the game it worked. But I think when you go to that and sometimes by the end of it, that's what you're doing in the time of possession is you're really taking a lot out of your secondary doing it. Your best guys on their best guys. I think that to a point, especially when you look at covering Marvin Harrison in the slot, whoever you match up there. I mean, it's a whole day trying to control him, and he really took advantage once he went into the slot. So that's what really I think too was not that you lacked on the time of possession, but you had chances to sustain drives longer and give your defense even more of breaks and to flip that field and to put them in positions where you feel like, okay, guys, we need another stop. They were given a lot of pressure in that game, the defense, to hold their end.
And even though Allen had a better day than Singleton, Allen and Singleton have shown that they just changed the entire game script for Penn State. Those two
guys, when you
guys,
can get them going.
Yes, when you just the improvements made in the backfield by those two individuals allow Penn State to do so much more offensively, allow Penn State to have that luxury on defense. You're not constantly out on the field. You're not tired, because if they had last year's backfield, last year's running game, this game would have gotten out of hand very fast. You won the first down battle. You won the possession battle. You actually won the third down conversion battle, believe it or not. You converted 3 out of 4 fourth down attempts for Penn State, and that impresses me. So what's the glaring difference in this game? One quarterback had 4 turnovers. One quarterback had 1, but inconsequential at the end of the day.
And maybe 2 of them I'm not completely putting on the fault of Sean Clifford. The touchdown screen pass was, to put it nicely, a very poor effort by Bryce Effner. To play a little bit of devil's advocate, I think that's just a 5-star play made by a former 5-star recruit. To shed a chop block and then jump as high as you do and to catch it. Yeah. Most people just bat that to the ground. I get that, but maybe I have to relook at it again, but it just didn't seem that what you put on him didn't affect him whatsoever. Not taking anything away. There's not many guys that can make that play, but I'm not putting that play exactly on him. His fumble, again, it was
your hit from the blind side.
Yeah, he was your tackle was completely blown up on that play. But that being said, there were points
what's the common theme here, Bryce Effner?
Not just that, but
because
saying
Olu Fashanu, there were no problems with the blind side for Sean Clifford. He got hit in the back when I say, it was a blind side strip sack fumble, because he was running to his left, to his weak side, because protection broke down on Bryce Effner's side. So there's a couple ways we can approach that before we get to break. One, is that an issue of coaching, that if you can see that Bryce Effner is struggling with JTT along the defensive end, along the edge, why isn't Brenton Strange or Theo Johnson or Tyler Warren chipping out there? Why isn't a running back staying in and focusing that protection on that front side? So that's one thing. And then
is it simply on those plays too, is Sean Clifford making the wrong read? It could be a combination of both of those things. And something I saw too, especially on that interception to Allen, when he runs into trouble, it is Clifford locking on to one receiver, not going through his progressions, and it's got to be, if he's not there right away, you got to look away. Yeah. Eat a sack if you have. Sometimes a sack isn't the worst thing. Yes, you don't want to be back there taking hits, but when it comes to either taking an interception or taking a few yards, sometimes that's what you need to do. And look, he at times was the reason Penn State was in the game. Now Parker Washington had one of the best receiving performances I've seen in a while from a Penn State receiver
since Jahan Dotson.
It was a
feels
gritty,
like it's been a long time.
It was a gritty performance by Clifford, but again, it's those things we talk about week to week. In big games, there just seems to be those big key mistakes at critical times, not just from Sean Clifford, but this team that doesn't put him in the best position to win.
I'll leave the audience with two more observations, and then we'll come back with our takeaways from this game, more importantly. And Parker Washington was one of them, so you beat me to it. But two adjustments that Ohio State made, because JTT, Tui Moloau, was not effective when he was going up against Olu Fashanu. So what did Ohio State do? They moved him to the other side. That changed everything. The second thing, Marvin Harrison Jr. was not winning as many battles on the outside. What do? They move him into the slot. And Penn State did, for whatever reason, coaching or player, couldn't adjust. And and those are the two small things, the two small things that played a big role.
And, I mean, the last thing I'll add to that before going to break, that's the luxury, though, of the roster that Ohio State has, is that you can move those guys around, and they are so darn good, and you're deep. We're having two other guys still on the outside where you feel like you can move those pieces around, and you're not really losing production at another spot doing that.
Hindsight's 20/20, but Joey Porter Jr. should have shadowed Marvin. Yeah. And in that situation, like, you don't get in that situation how many times throughout the season? Move him and try it. Yeah. Don't be married to, well, he's the boundary corner, so we don't want to do that. You are in basically, or make or break your season. You should have moved JPJ into the slot. I don't care. I don't. Well, let's take a break. We'll have more takeaways from the Ohio State-Penn State game. 44-31, it goes in favor of the Buckeyes. When we come back, we will nominate our Athlete of the Week, Player of the Game for Penn State at his Bloom-White Breakdown. He's Matt Bortner. I'm Zach Seyko here on ESPN Radio 103.7 and 1450.
Joel Coffer Quality Pre-Owned in Pleasant Gap is your one-stop shop automotive stop for the Center Region's best in quality pre-owned vehicles. Best because they're handpicked by Joel and Sonny while using their over 100 years of automotive experience in doing so. Best because they're serviced, reconditioned, and priced to sell. Visit Joel Coffer Quality Pre-Owned today, 475 East College Avenue in Pleasant Gap. Call 814-954-5237 or go online to joelcofferqualitypreowned.com.
Steve Jones, he's a big damn deal.
And the 125th season of Penn State football is underway.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Lion Country Kia Sports Talk with Steve Jones. Weekdays from 1 till 3 p.m. on ESPN Radio 103.7 and 1450.
I'm Joe Ostrowski here to help you beat the books with BetQL. Week 8 wraps up tonight with Cincinnati and Cleveland, but it's never too early to look ahead to Week 9. The BetQL model already has 5 totals circled as 5-star best bets for next weekend. No surprise that the Chargers-Falcons over 48.5 is one of them. The Chargers can't stop the run, and the Falcons can't stop much. I'm Joe Ostrowski. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetQ.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7, with supplies and solutions for every industry, and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-511-3535. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-511-3535. 800-511-3535.
Welcome back to Blue and White Breakdown on ESPN Radio 103.7 and 1450. Time for the guys to nominate the player of the game.
Going to convert a big third down here. Back, blitz coming, throws. Washington's got it. First down, 50, breaks away, far sideline, 40. He's to the 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Penn State. They needed to be the next team to score, and they did it.
I mean, that was a big man play. When I'm watching that in the press box, Sean Clifford led him into the danger zone. Like, I thought Washington was going to get popped from where he caught the ball. He bounced off of not one, but 2 Ohio State defensive backs, and then afterburners after that.
Well, and I would think probably all season long, a combination of receivers. This is probably the best we saw at receivers getting open and making plays after the catch for Penn State this year. I don't know if you would agree with that.
I'm getting a count of how many different players caught a pass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
10.
9, 10.
Well, 11.
11. Sean Clifford caught a pass. That's right. Wide receiver number 1 caught a pass. No, but you've been waiting for, because we've had Aeneas Hawkins talk about this, former Penn State defensive lineman.
It's different when you're the guy everybody's looking at, you know.
But there hasn't been a game where a wide receiver has taken over, and if it weren't for Marvin Harrison Jr., Parker Washington, I still think Parker Washington had a better performance because
made more highlight plays.
He did. Marvin Harrison Jr. obviously bailed them out, I think, a little bit more in the scheme of it. But 185 to 179 yards. Washington had the touchdown. Harrison Jr. didn't have any.
Stroud also made some throws where it's like, yes, Harrison gets the beat on you, but it's like you just run in stride and you take it, and
exactly. You get a perfect pass delivered to you.
Not taking anything away from Marvin Harrison Jr.
Parker Washington had to ad lib a good amount of half the time, I would say, and that touchdown run. He is our athlete of the week. If I'm going to pull another one here, I think that the Penn State men's hockey team, and we'll have our segment devoted to all Penn State sports here coming up soon, but you had Connor McMenamin and Connor McEachran both have goals against Wisconsin, and this team's 8-0.
Yeah, 8-0, and I think you look maybe at the record of Wisconsin, you say, but Wisconsin had
Big Ten hockey.
Well, you look into that, Wisconsin had played one tough schedule going into this weekend, and what a way to start off the Big Ten play, going into the Badgers' home ice and taking both and sweeping. So you start off the year 8-0. I got to look at where they are in. It's funny, I think it's weird to me that in college hockey, so everybody like boasts the number of what they are in the coaches poll. Why don't they boast the number of the pairwise? Because that's the only thing that matters. The coaches poll doesn't matter. They specifically go off of a formula to get you into the NCAA tournament, and Penn State at the last look was 4. I don't know what they're at now, but I don't get why, if you're higher in the pairwise, that you wouldn't say, hey, we're the number 4 pairwise team in the country.
I think Liam Soulier should also get a lot of credit because this is a team that was criticized, saying that, well, they can score goals, but they don't have any defense, and they'll get outscored for points in time. Soulier pitched a 32-save shutout against Wisconsin.
Yeah, when you're shutting somebody out completely with over 25 or more shots, it's impressive, let alone after 30. Penn State is number 3 in the pairwise, just behind St. Cloud and Harvard.
Just FYI for everyone out there, and they were the 6th best team in the Big Ten. Yeah, okay, cool it there. I kind of imagined that they would be much better than advertised, and they're showing that early. So down the stretch, I think you'll see teams like Michigan, Minnesota be like, okay, Penn State needs to be on our radar.
Well, that's one heck of a matchup coming up against Michigan.
Yes,
that Michigan team is loaded.
Aren't they all? Notre Dame too, aren't they all? I mean, the Big Ten, no mercy. There's the Big Ten men's hockey conference is not for the faint of heart.
And you're starting to see it just in some guys in the NHL, some of the stars that are starting to develop. There's more and more you're seeing out of the Big Ten conference in playing in the big boy league.
This is Blue and White Breakdown, our show devoted to Penn State sports on ESPN Radio State College, sponsored by Joel Comfort Toyota and BMW and Joel Comfort Quality Pre-Owned in Pleasant Gap. Shop Joel Comfort Toyota and BMW 24/7 at joelcomfort.com. He's Matt Bortner. I'm Zach Seyko. We're still taking your calls, too. Phone lines are always open. Spooky season. Happy Halloween, everyone. 272-9625, 272-9625. Give us your spookiest take. Why not?
Well,
okay. What's your spookiest take from this? Your spookiest takeaway from this game?
Well, I'll get some people riled up. I've been a stark defender of Sean Clifford being the starting quarterback for this team. No, I'm not jumping that gun, but I do think now, being a 10-2 team, and I think still exceeding expectations that you have this year. Again, I get it. You had chances to win this game against Ohio State. That does not make it an excusable loss just because they were a better team. I'm not taking anybody off the hook for that. But based upon where we are in this season and that your Big Ten title hopes are gone, it would take a miracle to win the Big Ten at this point.
Yes, it would.
But so Sean is your best chance of starting games and winning games for you. You can't give up on a possible 10-2 win season. But I think you're at the point of your schedule that while you're in meaningful snaps of a game, meaningful drives, I think you can sprinkle Drew Allar into the offense and get him game time reps that mean something at this point.
Oh, hot take. I don't think that one's actually
that's not a hot take. It's not a spicy. If it was spooky, if it was real hot take, I would have said, okay, thank you for your service, Sean. It's time for Drew.
All right, that's the spooky take. Because Sean Clifford did dress up as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in this game against Ohio State. Let's be honest here, because one moment it's like, man, Sean Clifford's firing on all cylinders. It's like, man, Sean Clifford's firing to all the wrong guys.
Yeah, because he made some plays with his legs to extend runs to throw, but that's also the worry. Sometimes when he does that, he makes the wrong decisions doing that as well.
And let's think about this too. Does Drew Allar extend those kinds of plays? At least right now, maybe he gets faster in the because
I think he moves better than most people think, but
In terms of in terms of
I get what
lateral
you're saying.
speed and pocket presence, that is why Drew Allar's a 5-star quarterback, because of those two attributes to go along with his big frame. But in terms of straight line speed, I don't think Drew Allar's beating anybody right now in a foot race. Let's just be honest. But in terms of pocket mobility, I've liked what I've seen. But that was particularly against Ohio State. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there's a difference between making a couple moves with your feet and sprinting for your life and making a play out of something.
Exactly my point. I think it was the one where he got chased from behind. I think it was in the what game? It would have been in Minnesota or Central Michigan. He was chased down from behind and
and just the play. I mean, the play he made going to his left and what looked very close to possibly being over the line of scrimmage. Did he throw it to Tinsley on that, or was that the play too?
I know which play you're talking about. I just don't remember who caught the pass.
I think, or was that the Lambert Smith touchdown?
No, it wasn't that one.
No, it's blanking me, but it
might have been Parker Washington. It might have been Parker Washington.
Was. I mean, he had 11 catches.
It was either Keandre Lambert Smith or Parker Washington. I do know which play you're referring to. All right, I'll give kind of a spooky takeaway from this one. Katron Allen is distancing the gap from Nicholas Singleton. They're not as even. Katron Allen currently is the better back.
Yeah, I think it's still a bit circumstantial.
I haven't seen Singleton break one tackle this season. Yeah, and I know I'm being hard on him, but we have to be. If you hand the ball off to Singleton on that 4th and goal play, he does not get in.
I definitely agree with you on that. I think the run in terms of right now how this offense is built, Katron Allen fits better than Nicholas Singleton. I think we'll see next year how much more they can use Nicholas Singleton, because I think that's one thing that you also look forward to Drew Allar next year is this is. And there's still criticisms over play calling with what Mike Yurcich is doing, but this is not the offense that Mike Yurcich has envisioned. With Drew Allar or Bo Perbiola at the helm, whoever it may be.
Over the next 4 years, that's the 4-year
It's going to look much more like an air raid type offense, and I don't know if it's going to be to the amount that we see the Oklahoma States, the Texas A&Ms, that type of air raid. But they want to air the ball out more. They want to get more wide, and they want to get guys like Nick Singleton in space. So that's the part of it where I'm waiting to see him in true space. But between the tackle runner, where Penn State, I think, has excelled much better than they have in years past, Katron Allen fits into that mold.
And Penn State right now offensively is kind of caught in between two systems, because Penn State, with Drew Allar waiting in the wings, they want to run more of a pro-style type of offense.
Yeah.
Whereas Sean Clifford, who was he recruited by? Joe Moorhead, worked with Ricky Ronnie. He is a spread quarterback. Yeah. He is a spread offense quarterback. So you're trying to marry these two systems that when you break it down and really get deep into it, folks, the X's and O's are much different. It's just like, well, why can't Sean run a pro offense? It's not that he can't, but what brings out his best strengths are
playmaking ability,
the spread offense. Well, look what happened when Christian they were trying to marry that pro style and spread with Christian Hackenberg and Trace McSorley, and it was awful because the spread offense is designed to open up the field, and that's where Christian Hackenberg couldn't run, but McSorley could, and Tommy Stevens could. So Sean Clifford's that same way, but now you're going to go back. You're going to return to more of a base pro-style offense with Drew Allar. I really don't have... I mean, we addressed all of it as far as the recap and everything that goes with it. Do you have any other spooky takeaways?
I don't know if it's spooky at this point, but it's... I think this was a reflection of a game that still shows that Penn State has a gap to close. It was something that I didn't expect them to do this year based upon my predictions and where I saw this team. But, you know, it shows that maybe if you get the right guys in place, you can start to take advantage. But just right now, they're not at that level yet. It's painful because the track record for James Franklin in big games is atrocious, to say the least. 2-20 now against AP top 10 and
1-8 versus Ohio State.
Yeah. Now, to flip the script, you look at how long it took Michigan to overcome that hurdle as well.
Yeah, and they've only done it once.
So I think it just shows you as a status where Ohio State is, and in the next couple of years, it's where James Franklin and this staff are going to have to prove if they're ready to maybe overtake them. But right now, it doesn't look like on the field currently what sits there that they're ready to do so.
Well, there will certainly be high expectations next year, but that's for next year. When we return here on Blue and White Breakdown, we're going to go through all the Penn State sports that are currently in action, plus one that begins next week as well. It is Blue and White Breakdown, sponsored by Joel Comfort Toyota and BMW, and Joel Comfort Toyota Joel Comfort Quality Pre-Owned on ESPN Radio State College.
Hi, this is Corey Comfort from Joel Comfort Toyota and State College. The best new cars make the best used cars. That's why you need to look at a Toyota certified vehicle. All certified Toyotas come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, plus a 12-month, 12,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty, and 7-year roadside assistance. There are special interest rates as low as 3.99% up to 60 months to qualified buyers. See our complete inventory 24/7 at joelconfort.com. And remember, good things happen in the community when you buy local.
Plan your midweek getaway today and find lodging at happyvalley.com. Explore dining destinations, interesting attractions, historic sites, sports, shopping and boutiques, caves, and the Central PA Tasting Trail. Our hotels, inns, and bed and breakfasts are ready for your visit. Plus, rates and wait times are less during the week. Your adventures can also include hiking trails, biking, geocaching, and walking driving tours too. Look for insider information at dispatch.happyvalley.com. We're in the center of it all. Plan your adventures today at happyvalley.com.
Okay, smile naturally. Perfect.
Cam's Photography knows wedding season ramps up in a flash. They need to say I do to a studio assistant before clients go full bridezilla.
I'm so sorry. I have to get a different lens. I'll be right back.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
You can't get much for $5 these days, unless you go to Wendy's for a $5 Biggie Bag. Get your choice of double stack, junior bacon cheeseburger, or crispy chicken BLT, plus 4-piece nugs, fries, and a drink, all for just $5. That was smooth, wasn't it? That's how you're gonna feel when you get that Biggie Bag at Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes 4-piece nuggets, small soft drink, and small fry. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
Building through the draft is usually a key part of any NFL team's success. The New England Patriots roster in the 2016-2017 season was comprised of 55% of players that the Patriots drafted. 15 of those players were drafted in rounds 4 through 7, including Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, and Rob Ninkovich. The Patriots went on to win the Super Bowl that season 34-28 over the Atlanta Falcons.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
Behind every playoff-bound roster is a great process, one that identifies the right talent at just the right time. It's time your business had a similar process. LinkedIn Jobs taps into a network of over 850 million professionals to find the right people for your role. LinkedIn Jobs helps you narrow down to the most qualified candidates so you can start hiring the right people. Go to linkedin.com/sports to post your job for free. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey there, Penn State fans. Remember, when you're at the game, your recycling goes in the blue bags and your trash goes in the white bags. Thanks so much for your help.
It's time for the play of the game on Blue and White Breakdown.
Long and deep far side, brings us out, and juggles, got it, touchdown, Penn State!
4th and inches just outside the goal line. A defining moment right here. Penn State looks for the lead. Allen left side, hit, drives to the goal line, got it, touchdown, Penn State. The Nittany Lions take the lead with 9:26 to go.
was nice while it lasted.
Yeah, keep the legs churning, take the lead.
Stop the count.
Yeah, wrap it up right there.
Yeah. Oh, man. 9:26 to go in the fourth quarter. That's when it stings the most. Penn State and Indiana will kick off at 3:30 on ABC. I love the 6-day notice.
Yeah, games like that though. I'd rather when it's on the road. I know what does that end up being an 11 a.m. local time game, or is Indiana? But I don't know. I like getting it over with so I can watch the rest of the games that day with my.
I don't think Indiana's an hour or so behind, so that is a 3:30 game for them.
I always get confused between them and Purdue and
Bloomington.
Yeah.
So that won't be like a 2:30 kick or anything, because Auburn going down to Alabama was an hour behind.
Yes,
which is actually news to me.
Yes, 1 hour. Yeah. 1 hour. Yeah.
I don't know my time changes. I always love messing with people on the time change whenever you go from like Pennsylvania to Florida, and I tell everyone, it's my joke, when we get off the plane, make sure everyone gets adjusted to the time change. They're like,
that guy.
Shut up.
That guy.
It's not a time change. Oh, all right. Have fun sleeping tonight. It's Blue and White Breakdown, sponsored by Joel Comfort Toyota and BMW, and Joel Comfort Quality Pre-Owned in Pleasant Gap, your local Toyota dealer for over 41 years, located at 120 East Clinton Avenue, beyond the Waffle Shop on North Atherton in State College. He's Matt Bortner. I'm Zach Seyko. We're talking Penn State sports. You can get in on the conversation as well, 272-9625. That is 272-9625. We're going to preview Indiana in just a moment. But let's start with the other Penn State sports that are in action. Penn State's got 31 of them. And, well, we shouldn't be disappointed in football because field hockey, boom, 2022 Big Ten champions.
Yes, they now have to go through the gauntlet of the Big Ten tournament, but the Big Ten champs, they take the... with the tiebreaker in what, 2 top 5 wins this year in conference.
Yeah, they're number 3 overall.
Yeah, number 3 overall. Anna Simon named the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week for the Nittany Lions. So they look geared up, primed up for the postseason.
Let's revisit Penn State men's hockey for just a moment. Talked about them extensively with the performance they had against Wisconsin, but they're 8-0 overall, 2-0 in Big Ten play. They're ranked 16th currently. They coming off that sweep of the Wisconsin Badgers at Wisconsin, mind you. Now they got to turn around and they got to play Michigan here for a 2-game series, and then Minnesota in 2-game series. So that will really define what kind of team you are.
Yeah, never gets easier. But I mean, even if you come out with a losing record in those, I think you just find out what you have, make your adjustments against some of the top tier teams. But you like the start you have, where it gives you some good footing when it comes to the pairwise and putting yourself in a good place for the NCAA tournament early in the seasons. Because as much as important as the end of the season is, it's very important to those points in the pairwise are just as important at the beginning of the year.
Penn State men's and women's soccer will begin with the ladies. Penn State defeated Wisconsin. I see a common theme here. 1-0 in the Big Ten tournament quarterfinals, and that can also, I think, let's go back to our play of the game here. Allie Schlegel's goal in the 75th
She's big
minute.
Time.
Yeah, truly is. We wanted to go with the football, but how about a non-football play of the week? It is Allie Schlegel's goal that proved to be the difference in this quarterfinal game.
Yeah, and women's soccer, it's 64 teams in the NCAA tournament. So I'm pretty sure they put themselves right in the spot where they're almost a lock to get into the tournament.
And they're helping their resume. That's a number 3 Wisconsin team in the Big Ten. You're number 6. You just knocked off a higher seed. Men's soccer is getting ready to go to the Big Ten tournament. They defeated Michigan 3-2 in the final regular season game. They are 5th in the Big Ten Conference. Van Danielson and Andrew Privet had goals in that game.
Look, they were the Big Ten favorites going into this season, so they're a dangerous team that probably you don't want to see on your schedule in the Big Ten tournament.
Penn State women's volleyball, number 11 in the country. I'd love to see the comeback they've made since Russ Rose has retired. So many people entered the transfer portal. Everyone only talks about football and basketball when it comes to the transfer portal. This is for every single athlete in the NCAA. But number 11 Penn State did fall in a 5-set match against Ohio State.
Yeah, you'd like to see them maybe in Big Ten play against some of these ranked opponents be different for them, but when you come to postseason time, they're going to be a team that is definitely battle tested and know what it will take to pull off some upsets. But yeah, they're still number 11 in the country at this point.
And men's basketball had a scrimmage against George Mason,
Yes.
and they tip off the regular season next Monday. That'll be here on ESPN Radio State College. Winthrop comes to the Bryce Jordan Center.
And inside reports from some people that were there, not giving away any trade secrets, but
Give up your informants.
But they looked like a very talented team. Not saying I don't know what that translates into wins and losses this year, but I think you're looking at a type of recruiting class like you saw with Lamar Stevens and Tony Carr, and maybe better than that. By rankings, it's the best one ever, but when you pair that with some good transfers in the transfer portal, getting Jalen Pickett back, I think this is going to be a real exciting team to watch this year.
Yeah, the youngsters contributing early. And Courtney Correa had her second hat trick of the season. We jumped away from hockey for the moment. But Penn State, number 12 in the country for women's hockey, shut out Lindenwood and won 7-0. Courtney Correa had her second hat trick of the season. Lady Lions basketball also begins next week, November 9th, Wednesday at home in the Bryce Jordan Center against Norfolk State. Another team with all the transfers that they accrued, I think will be better as well.
Yeah, and I know it's Caroline Keeger's been on record saying she thinks this is the best team she's had, and she's excited as well. So I think on the hardwood, the future is looking up for both of the Penn State programs.
We scout Penn State and Indiana on the football field, and we come back here on ESPN Radio State College. It's Blue and White Breakdown, sponsored by Joel Comfort Toyota and BMW and Joel Comfort Quality Pre-Owned.
With school back in session, motorists are reminded to be aware of school buses. Always remember to share the roads safely and watch for the yellow or red flashing lights that alert motorists that buses are preparing to or have stopped to pick up kids. And when the bus's stop sign arm is extended, traffic in both directions must stop on undivided roadways.
This school bus safety message brought to you by Joel Comfort Toyota, BMW, and Collision Center, 120 East Clinton Avenue in State College.
At Nittany Beverage, we love beer. We like drinking beer. We like talking about beer. We know beer. And we know you love beer too. Whether you prefer domestic, imports, craft, or IPAs, we can help you select the perfect beer for the perfect situation. Even better, you don't even have to leave your vehicle. So when it comes to buying beer, there really is only one choice: Nittany Beverage. Make it your choice. Visit them just off West College Avenue near downtown and online at nittanybeverage.com.
Plan your midweek getaway today and find lodging at happyvalley.com. Explore dining destinations, interesting attractions, historic sites, sports, shopping and boutiques, caves, and the Central PA Tasting Trail. Our hotels, inns, and bed and breakfasts are ready for your visit. Plus, rates and wait times are less during the week. Your adventures can also include hiking trails, biking, geocaching, and walking driving tours too. Look for insider information at dispatch.happyvalley.com. We're in the center of it all. Plan your adventures today at happyvalley.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hey, it's Penn State men's basketball head coach Micah Shrewsbury. And you're listening to Blue and White Breakdown on State College's ESPN Radio.
Coach Shrewsbury's liner there will actually be a little more fitting now that we have basketball next week.
Oh, yeah.
And we get to,
I'm excited.
We're going to preview both Winthrop and Maryland on next week's episode.
That's two good matchups.
Well, something like that. I think people appreciate Penn State football versus Maryland a little more than men's basketball versus Winthrop. But when this team shows how competitive they are, I think you're going to see a boost in morale around the men's basketball program. Get on the hype train now. I do expect them to be fairly competitive and finish a lot higher than what they, I think, in the coaches.
11th in the Big Ten, they were projected somewhere right around there.
Yeah. I could see them finishing 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
I know that's 3 spots, but that's 3 huge jumps up the ladder.
Yeah, especially when how consistent the Big Ten is from top to bottom.
We're talking Penn State and Indiana. It's Blue and White Breakdown, sponsored by Joel Comfort Toyota and BMW and Joel Comfort Quality, pre-owned in Pleasant Gap. Rent a Toyota at Joel Comfort Toyota. Rent a car, 120 East Clinton Avenue in State College. And we also have our Across the Conference around the Big Ten segment to wrap up the show. And there's just one subject that we're going to tackle here. Maybe that wasn't the best phrase to use. But starting with Indiana, they've been fairly banged up. I mean, every football team gets like this, but this is fresh.
At important positions.
Their best wide receiver, Cam Camper, who leads them in everything, is out for the season. And I think that starts there. Also with the rumor that Indiana's going to have an open quarterback competition this week going into Penn State. It's not going to be Connor Bazelak, who started all the other games. They see a potential quarterback controversy. This, like, all options are on the table, essentially.
Yeah, and to an extent, it's maybe you say it's a leg up because there's nothing seen on tape. I'm sure you can see flashes because you don't know exactly what that quarterback brings to the table, but I just think that's a recipe. I know you're coming off a big loss again, and that's been the worry under James Franklin-led teams, but when you have a first-time starting quarterback with really not much talent at all at quarterback, it just doesn't seem like a good recipe for the Indiana offense.
And now I gave my instant reaction after this game was that Penn State will struggle because this is truly a trap game by definition. Yeah. You're coming off of a game, whether it's a win or a loss, you are coming off the biggest game of the season. And we've seen how Penn State teams under James Franklin have reacted after this kind of loss. The Michigan game wasn't that game. It was this game against Ohio State, which it traditionally has been aside from Iowa last year. Now you got to go on the road. Crappy Indiana team. 3:30 kickoff. Like,
the environment's not going to be great.
How do you match that intensity?
Yeah.
Especially coming off of a home game against the Buckeyes. But I think that Indiana might be so bad that it won't even matter.
That's sort of where I'm leaning, buddy.
Because at first I was like, man, I'm a little bit worried that I think Penn State's still more talented enough to beat this Indiana team, but our travel, emotions, game planning, because you are not going to use your best plays against this team because you think you can win this game 99 times out of 100. But what if it's that one time?
Yeah, what if it's that one time? But also, I think if Penn State, you saw what Michigan did with a good running game. I think if Penn State can sort of duplicate how they looked in their run game against Ohio State, where I thought for the most part in running the ball, they looked pretty darn good in getting pressure up front. Brenton Strange was laying some pancakes out there. I think if Penn State gets the run game going in this one, it's just game over for Indiana.
They're going to play, I think, very conservative. in this case. I don't anticipate. I think Penn State's going to go in with the mentality, hey, let's sneak in and sneak out. We really don't want to risk anything, especially because you have a tougher game. Again, like that's a trap game is a sandwich game where you're looking behind you like, man, what could have been against Ohio State? And hey, we still have a game where we expect to face a 7-2 Maryland team, which really could define the remainder of our season here and what bowl that we finish at. The quarterback situation between so Jack Tuttle's going to transfer. He's not going to play, period. So now it's a matter of Connor Bazelak and Dexter Williams II, who is more of a running quarterback.
Yeah.
So if Penn State doesn't have any film on that, that's going to be tough to defend against. Because we do have to go to break and go through our across the conference segment. Matt, your score prediction for Penn State, Indiana. Penn State is a 14-point favorite, and the total was set at 54, I believe.
Okay. I think Penn State maybe starts out a little slow in terms of offensive wise, but I think they can get the run game going in this, get a little play action fake going, and I'm going to make a bold prediction and say Drew Allar throws a touchdown in this game as well. And
if they're up by a bunch, I can see it.
Not even that. I think this is a game where maybe you can insert them in while the game is still in its balance. But I'm going to go Penn State 35 and Indiana 13.
Indiana's just so bad. I have no idea how they beat Illinois. Illinois would be 8-0 had they not beaten had Indiana not beaten them, and then they just lost to Rutgers last week. Make it make sense.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I can explain for the Illinois game is that's the West for you.
I will have a better understanding as the week goes along here, but I'm going to take Penn State in this one. I do think they will have a slow start. I'm going to go lower scoring just because here. I think that Penn State, at first I wasn't going to have them cover, but I think 14 points is not that many. I say Penn State 31 and Indiana 10. I just don't see Indiana with the quarterback problems scoring that many points. All right, around the Big Ten across the conference is next here on Blue and White Breakdown.
With school back in session, motorists are reminded to be aware of school buses. Always remember to share the roads safely and watch for the yellow or red flashing lights that alert motorists that buses are preparing to or have stopped to pick up kids. And when the bus's stop sign arm is extended, traffic in both directions must stop on undivided roadways.
This school bus safety message brought to you by Joel Comfort Toyota, BMW, and Collision Center, 120 East Clinton Avenue in State College.
Sponsored by the Ad Council. Okay, dads, it's time to do the Cabbage Patch, the Running Man, or something more contemporary, the Floss. That's right, dance like a dad with your kids. Learn more at fatherhood.gov. Sponsored by Ad Council.
This is Blue and White Breakdown on ESPN Radio 103.7 and 1450. It's now time to look across the conference and see where Penn State stands in the Big Ten. Across the Conference is sponsored by Happy Valley Adventure Bureau. You don't need to leave Happy Valley for a great getaway. Plan your staycation today. Visit the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau for day trip ideas.
This was not what I wanted to discuss.
Yeah.
In the Across the Conference segment. It has to deal with Michigan and Michigan State. And I don't want to sit here and make this an I told you so or a James Franklin told you so type of moment, but it's just that it is the way that Michigan and Jim Harbaugh react in their smugness and saying, oh, James Franklin should stop whining and worry about winning football games after but he said that, stop whining and worry about your own team. Yeah. This was in response to the comments that James Franklin made about the tunnel. And
but it's different when player safety is at.
This is now Ohio State and Michigan have gotten into that tunnel. Yeah. Now Penn State, and thank goodness.
They're not the only teams. I mean, it's happened for years.
Thank goodness that Penn State and Michigan didn't have any ultra extracurricular
escalation.
Perfect word for it, escalation. Just a flying peanut butter sandwich, peanut butter jelly sandwich that we know of. But now you have it where Michigan State could be criminally charged by some of the players, and they've already been suspended for 2 incidents where 2 Michigan players were ganged up on and beaten up by fully padded Michigan State players.
Yeah, and it looked like there was some helmet swinging going on in the tunnel as well. And I don't
It's sick.
Because you don't want to. I don't know if the Michigan player shouldn't have gone in there or whatever, but that doesn't excuse the fact that he was ganged up on, totally taking control. And you saw even too, there was staffers and people there that didn't try to break it up and just walking away. It was an ugly scene, and I'm sure something could happen during the Ohio State Michigan game, because that game is going to be, as whatever.
There's an easy correction.
There's got to be some more security to it.
There's an easy correction to this. How about you wait for one team? If you have one tunnel, wait for that one team to fully get into the locker room, preferably the away team, and then Michigan goes into its locker room.
Or spend some darn money on getting a new locker.
Got a new TV deal.
You can bleed blue and white every Monday at 5 p.m. with Matt and Zach on ESPN Radio 1037 and 1450. Thanks for listening to Blue and White Breakdown, sponsored by Joel Confer Toyota and Joel Confer BMW.